INDIANA, that's Indiana. Ballin' like Reggie Miller, that's Indiana. I put up on my state, that's Indiana. Watch me rep it in your face, that's Indiana. That's Indiana, that's Indiana.
Hi, it's Matt from Ludovox, and we are at GenCon 1216 with Ted on Bezier Games. Hi, Ted.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. What about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Our booth is full of people, and people are really excited to see the new stuff we have.
And you have a new game. That's fortunate. So your new game is Colony, of which you are one of the designers.
Yes, yeah. So, Colony, we're super excited about this. It's an engine building game where everyone is building a colony, and it's very engaging. It's got a lot of replayability, and a lot of people. The tables have been full all morning.
So how many players can play this? What ages do you recommend? How much does the game last?
So the ages are anywhere between 8 and older. There is some strategic thinking, but it's pretty easy for a kid to grasp kind of the basics of it. In terms of the numbers of players, you can play 1 through 4. There's a solo game that we have in here, which is actually kind of compelling. It's kind of I'm going to try that one more time to get a better score sort of thing, but it also plays 2 to 4 really well. It scales perfectly between them. And we have a very simple way of making a mechanism to allow that. And not sure what the other question was.
No, it's okay. You answered. Maybe how long does it last? 1 hour?
Yeah, it's about an hour with 4 players, about 45 to 50 minutes with 3, and a little over a half hour with 2.
Okay, and what's the object of the game, the goal of the game?
So your goal of the game is to build the best colony possible. And because we're in the post-apocalyptic future, everyone knows everything in the post-apocalyptic future is measured by victory points. So, of course, you want the colony with the most victory points.
Okay, so you get victory points, but how you get victory points?
So you start out with no victory points at all. You just have some basic cards that kind of let you purchase additional buildings and cards and capabilities. Each of those is going to have some victory points on them. There's little orange half circles on the bottoms of most of the cards. Each of those is worth 1 victory point. And throughout the course of the game, you're going to be picking those up, gathering them. You can actually upgrade your cards, which gives you more victory points. And then you've got some special, what we call big buildings, that give you even additional more victory points towards the end of the game, exactly like that Fallout shelter there.
What do we do in the player's turn? What choices do we have to make?
Sure. So what's going to happen, every player's turn, you typically will have some resources, which are dice, in your warehouse at the beginning of your turn. Whoever's turn it is, they're going to take 3 dice, they're going to roll them, and at this point they're going to choose one to keep. Let's say I'll keep a 2, and then I pass the other ones to the player on my left. So we're drafting the dice around the table. They choose one, they put it in their warehouse, the next player chooses one, puts it in their warehouse. At this point, I take all the dice I have, and I look to see what I can do. Each of the cards in front of me represents a different action I can take, and you can take as many actions as you have cards, but you can never use a card more than once. So for instance here, I can trade in resources. Here, I could trade in these 2 6s for a resource of my choice because they match. If I had 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I could upgrade a card. Upgrading a card is simply flipping it over, and it gives you something better. In this case, this one changes from 2 matching ones to 2 of any value. If I upgrade my warehouse, instead of 6 slots, I now have 9 slots. So it's always better to upgrade if you can, but you can only do it once per turn, so you have to kind of choose which are the most valuable things to upgrade and to make better. You can also build additional cards. So with this card, it allows you to build 1 card per turn, unless you upgrade it, in which case you can build 2 per turn, which is kind of nice. So you look to see what you have and if you actually want to purchase something. Let's say I have 6, 6, 2, 2. That allows me to build a couple different things. I could build a scrap shack. I could also build this fiber mill here. If I pay the dice to supply, I take this, I put it back down here. It's not active until my next turn. So I put it down here. And again, if it was upgraded, I could buy more, like upgrade something, whatever. At this point, my turn's probably over. Any remaining dice I have, I'm going to put here in my warehouse, store them for the next turn. And then I bring anything I purchased up to the top here. I count my victory points. In this case, I have 1. Yay. And that's the end of my turn. It goes to the next player. They roll 3 dice, and it continues around.
So do you score each turn your victory points?
Yeah, you don't really score each turn. You just basically assess how many points you have total at that point. So you're not adding. So next turn, I'm not going to get an additional 1 for this. It just counts as 1. So I'll just look to see what my total is and check to make sure the scoreboard matches that.
So I was told there would be trade. How does it work?
I'm not sure what you mean. You mean by. Go ahead, repeat what.
It was kind of a trade game. Is it the drafting of the dice?
Well, there's drafting the dice, but there's actually trading. We have a card here called, this is the Hospitality Suite. There's actually a few other ones you can use, these purple cards. The Hospitality Suite allows you to take an action to trade with someone. And so you can trade resources. So I could say, oh, I'd like to trade this 5 for your 3. If you accept, you don't have to, but if you accept, not only do we switch our resources, but we would also get an additional 2 resource. So it's a bonus for trading. So now it's not just, I don't feel like trading with you or I don't want to help you out. Everyone who trades with you gets a benefit. And you get a benefit too for trading. So it's almost always in your best interest to trade and give people something they want and you get something you want. So it makes it a little more interactive. And people, a lot of times, they'll often compete to want to trade with you if you have one of those cards because they get that special bonus for doing that.
And you told me that the game was really replayable. Is it a kind of a Dominion bank of cards that you have and that you display every game?
Yeah, in some ways, people are going to relate it to Dominion, I think, from that aspect. There are 6 cards that are always in the game, the ones on the top row here. Those are in every game. The cards below it are what we call variable cards, and there's always 7 of them in a game, but they can be anything. This is just showing the starting set. The game itself actually comes with a total of 28 different variable cards. And so you can put any combination you'd like in there. We have a couple examples in the rules. We have an app that will randomly generate them for you, sets that actually work together very nicely. And it's just a ton of replayability that way. There's also, we have a rule, and this is actually from Dominion. We used to play Dominion a lot, and we'd play multiple games in a row of Dominion, as I'm sure a lot of people have done. And our house rule was, as soon as the game's over, the player who won, they get to revel in their glory. We won, that's awesome. Everyone else, though, gets to take one stack of cards out and replace it with one of their choice. So that's actually the rule that we have here. When you play successive games, people who don't win get to pick one of these variable cards to get rid of, replace it with a new one. So that way the winner, especially if they use one of those cards to win, doesn't have that next time.
Okay, very nice. That's a nice house rule for Dominion as well. And it's a game that's based on the Japanese game, Age of Craft. How did it happen? How did the development happen?
So last summer there's a local con in California called Meeple Fest run by Doug Garrett, and a lot of people attend that. And one of the people there brought the Age of Craft game along there, and I always attend that. And it was pointed out to me it's something like this is something that you guys might want to do an English version of because it was Japanese. There was English text, but it's always very hard to read. It didn't feel quite complete at the time. So I took a look at it, and we realized, wow, there's a lot of potential here from the base mechanism, which was Dice's resources and a few other things. So we grabbed it, started developing it, and turned it into this. And we're thrilled. The previous designers from Age of Craft, they're thrilled with it. One of the things that we did, they had a rule in there where you only started with one card in their game. And at any point during the game, you could sell that card for a difference between your points and the leader's points. And you would get that back in these stable resources. So we thought that was great, but we didn't have that card anymore. That card was actually, it was a different version of this particular card here. So what we've done, we've actually changed that, and now you can sell any of your cards on a turn, just one per turn, to get that difference. So anytime you're behind, if you look at a card you're not using or you don't think will be that valuable to you, you can sell it. It goes out of the game for good, but you're going to get a whole bunch of resources as a result. And so it's this weird game of chicken where you may have an opportunity to get a lot of points, but if you do that, you realize you're going to probably give a big advantage to your opponents. So you kind of want to keep it close as you can until the very end. Then you want to sprint ahead to the end. And with this game, what will happen in our version of the game, whoever reaches the target score first, for instance, we have 4 players, the target is 15. Whoever gets there first wins instantly, and the game ends at that moment. So what I like to say is there's no ticket to ride, everybody gets a turn sort of thing, because this is the post-apocalyptic world, and we don't have time for that sort of thing. So you get to 15, it's over, that person wins. So it's very tense at the end, the last couple of turns. There's not, I just get an extra turn, I'm just going to roll, I know I can't win. Every single turn you have this chance of if I did the right thing and if I sell a card or I can catch up, it's very compelling.
Okay, I think I have no more questions. That was very complete. What are these tokens? How do we use them?
These are Chippies. That's an acronym. It stands for Cybernetic Holder of Instant Production Improvement. Totally makes sense and rolls right off your tongue if you say it about 400 or 500 times. Actually, it's printed right on here. If you decide not to build something on a turn, you instead get a chippy. You can use a chippy when it's your turn to roll dice. You just grab some unstable resources, as many as you have chippies, and you roll those together. You keep the unstable resources for that turn. The difference between the unstable and the stable resources is that the unstable ones can't be saved. They're unstable, so you have to put them back at the end of the turn if you don't use them.
Well, thank you very much, Ted. Do you have any projects that you want to announce here for French audiences?
For French audiences, I know I'm very excited. I'm not sure if I should say this. I'm going to say it anyway, though, because it's French and it's not going to get back to me for a while. I know Ravensburger is introducing the French version of One Night Ultimate Werewolf Daybreak. That's this fall. I don't know if that's been announced in France or not, so maybe they'll send me a nasty note in German, of course, and tell me, you should have done that. 9. But I did it anyway, so that's exciting. So I actually have the app right now where we're testing in French.
Thank you very much, Ted, and have a nice day. Have a nice GenCon. Bye-bye, and see you on Ludobox.
INDIANA, that's Indiana. Ballin' like Reggie Miller, that's Indiana.